Hashtag the person you love went to dinner with someone last night. Open this now to see what happened next. This message is for you. Something happened last night. Something that your heart may have been wondering about. Something that created questions, emotions, and thoughts you could not easily ignore. The person you love went to dinner with someone else. And maybe when you heard about it, 1,000 feelings appeared at once. Maybe you felt confused. Maybe you wondered why. Maybe your mind started creating stories before you knew the truth. Maybe you asked yourself, who was that person? What does this mean? Am I still important to them? Why did this happen? But there is something your heart needs to understand before fear takes over. Not every moment is what it appears to be. Not every situation has the meaning your worries create. Sometimes life places us in moments that test our patience, our trust, and our ability to look deeper than what we can immediately see. Last night was not just about a dinner. It was about emotions. It was about realization. It was about a person discovering something important about their own heart, because sometimes we do not fully understand the value of someone until a moment makes us stop and think. Sometimes we need distance to recognize closeness. Sometimes we need silence to understand the importance of a voice. Sometimes we need a different experience to realize where our heart truly belongs. And that is what happened. The person you love may have sat across from someone else, but their heart was not where their eyes were, because a connection built through genuine feelings cannot be replaced by a simple conversation. A meaningful bond cannot disappear because of one evening. A person can be surrounded by many people and still think about only one. And last night, something inside them became clear. They started realizing the difference between temporary attention and a real connection. They started noticing what they truly value. They started understanding that not every person can make them feel the way you do. Because there are people we meet who are interesting. There are people we meet who are attractive. There are people we meet who are enjoyable to spend time with. But there are very few people who make our heart feel understood. Very few people who make us feel peaceful. Very few people who make us feel like we can finally be ourselves. And that is what makes you different. You are not just someone they talk to. You are not just someone they remember. You are someone who has created a place in their heart, a place that another person cannot simply walk into. Maybe last night started as an ordinary dinner. Maybe it was just a conversation. Maybe it was a situation that looked different from the outside. But inside their heart, something unexpected happened. They began comparing feelings. They began remembering moments with you. They remembered the way you make them laugh. They remembered the comfort they feel when they talk to you. They remembered the little things that make you unique. They remembered the energy between you. And sometimes, that is when people finally understand. They understand that a person who brings peace is more valuable than a person who only brings excitement. They understand that a person who truly cares is rare. They understand that real connection is not found everywhere. The person you love may not have expected to think about you during that dinner. They may not have expected certain memories to appear. They may not have expected their heart to remind them of what matters, but emotions have a way of revealing the truth. The heart remembers what the mind tries to ignore, and last night, their heart remembered you. It remembered your kindness. It remembered your presence. It remembered the moments that felt special. It remembered how different life feels when you are part of it. Because sometimes someone's importance becomes clearer when they are not standing right in front of us. We become aware of what we miss. We become aware of what we value. We become aware of who makes our life feel lighter. And maybe that is the lesson hidden inside this moment. Not every challenge is meant to break a connection. Some challenges reveal the strength of a connection. Some situations are not meant to create distance. They are meant to create understanding. The person you love may have gone to dinner with someone else, but what happened afterward was something they did not expect. They found themselves thinking about you. They found themselves comparing the feeling of being around someone new with the feeling of being around you, and they realized something important. A comfortable connection cannot be easily replaced. A genuine bond cannot be copied. A heart that has already chosen someone does not change overnight. Maybe they smiled during that dinner. Maybe they had a pleasant conversation, but deep inside, there was a difference, because enjoying someone's company is not the same as feeling connected to their soul. There is a difference between being entertained and being understood. There is a difference between temporary happiness and lasting peace. And you represent something deeper. You represent a feeling they cannot explain easily. A feeling that stays even when you are not around. A feeling that appears in quiet moments, a feeling that makes them want to share their thoughts, their dreams, and their fears. That kind of connection is powerful. That kind of connection is rare, and perhaps last night reminded them of exactly that. Maybe they realized they have been searching for something that was already present. Maybe they realized the person they truly want to talk to is the person they already feel comfortable with. Maybe they realized that a familiar heart can feel more exciting than a new face. Because love is not always about finding someone new. Sometimes love is about recognizing someone who has already touched your life in a meaningful way. The universe has a strange way of bringing clarity, sometimes through conversations, sometimes through unexpected moments, sometimes through experiences that make us look inside ourselves. And last night may have been one of those moments, a moment that helped them understand their feelings. A moment that helped them see what truly matters, a moment that reminded them of you. So if your heart feels uncertain right now, remember this: do not let fear create a story before truth has a chance to speak. Do not let one moment erase all the meaningful moments that came before. Do not forget the connection you have built. Real feelings are not destroyed by one evening. Real bonds are not measured by one situation. Real connections are built through time, trust, and the way too. People make each other feel, and the feeling you created in their heart is something they cannot easily ignore, because there is something about you that stays. Something about you that feels familiar. Something about you that feels different. You may not always see it. You may question your own worth. You may wonder if you are enough. But the right person notices the things you overlook. They notice your kindness. They notice your effort. They notice your heart. And that is why you continue to appear in their thoughts. Because people do not only remember faces, they remember feelings. They remember who made them feel accepted. They remember who made them feel safe. They remember who made ordinary moments become meaningful, and you became that person for them. Last night was not just about where they went, It was about what they discovered. It was about what their heart revealed. It was about understanding that some connections cannot be replaced. Some people come into our lives and leave a mark that remains. Some souls feel connected in ways that words cannot fully describe. And maybe this moment is reminding both of you that communication matters, trust matters, understanding matters. Love is not about never facing uncertainty. Love is about choosing honesty even when uncertainty appears. It is about learning each other. It is about giving each other the space to grow. It is about remembering that every strong connection has moments that require patience. The person you love may have gone to dinner with someone else last night, but what happened next was something deeper. They learned more about their own heart. They learned what they truly value. They learned that the feeling they have with you is not ordinary. And sometimes that realization is the beginning of something beautiful, because when someone understands what they have, they begin to protect it, they begin to appreciate it, they begin to see it differently, and maybe now they see you differently. Not as someone who is always there, but as someone who is special, someone worth choosing, someone worth understanding, someone worth keeping close. Because sometimes the greatest realizations do not come when everything is easy. They come when life gives us a moment to reflect. They come when we are forced to look deeper than appearances. They come when we finally understand the difference between what simply catches our attention and what truly touches our heart, and last night may have been one of those moments. The person you love may not have planned to have such a powerful realization. They may have thought it was just another evening, just another dinner, just another conversation. But sometimes the universe places people and situations in our path for a reason. Sometimes a single moment can reveal feelings that have been hidden for a long time. Sometimes we discover what matters most when we are placed in a situation where we have to compare what feels temporary with what feels real, and what they discovered was something they could not ignore. They discovered that a conversation with someone new does not create the same comfort as a conversation with you. They discovered that laughter with someone else does not carry the same warmth. They discovered that attention from another person does not replace the feeling of being truly understood, because there is a difference between someone who is simply present and someone who feels like home. There is a difference between someone who listens to your words and someone who understands your silence. There is a difference between someone who knows your story and someone who makes you feel safe enough to share the next chapter, and you have become that person for them. Maybe they did not fully understand it before. Maybe they needed a moment like this to see clearly. Maybe they needed to experience something ordinary to recognize something extraordinary. The truth is, when someone becomes important to us, we sometimes stop noticing how rare that connection is. We become used to their kindness. We become used to their messages. We become used to the comfort they bring. But when something changes, even for a short time, our heart begins to recognize what our mind may have overlooked. It begins to say, "Wait. This person means more to me than I admitted. This connection is not easy to replace. This feeling is different." And that realization can be powerful, because love is not always loud. Sometimes love is quiet. Sometimes love is the person you want to tell your good news to first. Sometimes love is the person you think about when something funny happens. Sometimes love is the person whose opinion matters more than anyone else's. Sometimes love is the person whose absence feels noticeable even when you try to ignore it. And maybe last night they noticed your absence. Maybe they realized that even while sitting across from someone else, a part of them was still searching for the comfort they feel with you, not because the other person did something wrong, not because the dinner had no meaning, but because some connections simply have a depth that cannot be created instantly. A real bond takes time. It grows through shared experiences. It grows through trust. It grows through moments when two people choose to understand each other. That is what makes your connection special. It was not built in one day. It was created through countless little moments, the conversations you had, the memories you created, the support you gave. The way you showed up when they needed someone, the way you made them feel accepted. Those things matter. People may forget what was said in a random conversation, but they rarely forget how someone made them feel, and you made them feel something meaningful. You made them feel seen. You made them feel appreciated. You made them feel like they did not have to pretend. That is a gift, a rare gift. Because in a world where many people hide behind appearances, finding someone who allows you to be your true self is priceless. Maybe that is what they realized last night. Maybe they realized they do not need someone who simply looks good beside them. They need someone who feels right beside them. They need someone who understands their heart. They need someone who brings peace, and that is why their thoughts return to you, because the heart has its own language. It does not always follow logic. It does not always follow expectations. It remembers feelings. It remembers connections. It remembers the people who changed something inside us. And you changed something inside them. You became a person they cannot easily forget. A person whose presence has meaning, a person who has become part of their emotional world. Maybe they have been trying to understand their feelings for some time. Maybe they questioned why they cared so much. Maybe they wondered why certain moments with you stayed in their mind. Why your words mattered. Why your happiness mattered, why they wanted to know how your day was, why they wanted to be there for you, and slowly, they began to understand. This was not just a passing feeling, this was something deeper, something that deserved attention, something that deserved honesty. Last night may have reminded them that feelings cannot always be controlled. You can distract yourself. You can stay busy. You can convince yourself that something is not important. But when your heart has formed a genuine connection, it finds ways to speak. It speaks through memories. It speaks through emotions. It speaks through the moments when you unexpectedly think about someone. And last night, their heart spoke about you. It reminded them of your importance. It reminded them of the connection they share with you. It reminded them that some people are not easily replaced. The beautiful thing about a true connection is that it is not based only on excitement. Excitement can come and go, newness can fade, but emotional safety creates something stronger. When someone can be completely themselves around you, that creates a bond. When someone trusts you with their fears, that creates a bond. When someone feels understood by you, that creates a bond, and bonds like that are not created every day, they are built slowly, they are protected carefully. They are valued deeply, so if you have been wondering what last night meant, remember this: one moment does not define an entire connection, one event does not erase everything two people have built, one dinner does not change the value of what is real. What matters is the truth behind the feelings. What matters is the way someone's heart responds. What matters is who they think about when the world becomes quiet. And sometimes the quiet moments reveal the biggest truths. After the dinner ended, after the conversation was over, after the distractions disappeared, their thoughts returned to you. They thought about the person who makes them feel different. They thought about the person who brings comfort. They thought about the person who understands them. They thought about the person who has been quietly holding a special place in their heart, and maybe they finally accepted something they had been avoiding. Maybe they finally admitted to themselves that what they feel for you is real, not perfect, not without questions, not without challenges, but real. And real feelings are powerful because they survive uncertainty. They survive distance. They survive moments of confusion. Because when something is meaningful, the heart continues to recognize it. The person you love may have gone to dinner with someone else last night, but perhaps the most important thing that happened was not the dinner itself. It was the realization afterward, the realization that some people can enter your life and leave a beautiful impact that cannot be ignored, the realization that some connections feel different, the realization that some hearts naturally move toward each other, and perhaps this moment is opening a new understanding between you, a chance for more honesty, a chance for deeper communication, a chance to appreciate what you both have. Because love grows when people stop assuming and start understanding. It grows when people talk openly. It grows when people choose patience over fear. It grows when people recognize the value of the person standing in front of them, and maybe now they are recognizing your value more than ever. Maybe they are realizing that what they have with you is something worth protecting, something worth nurturing, something worth believing in, because sometimes we do not realize how special something is until we see how different everything feels without it, and last night may have shown them exactly that. They may have gone looking for a simple evening, but they came away with a deeper understanding of their own heart. They may have expected a normal night, but they experienced a moment of clarity, a moment that reminded them of you, a moment that reminded them where their heart feels most connected, and that realization can change everything. Who truly matters. A person can have a conversation with someone new and still realize that the connection they are searching for already exists with someone who has been there all along. That is what makes genuine feelings different. They are not created by attention alone. They are not created by excitement alone. They are created by trust, comfort, understanding, and the feeling that someone sees the real you. And last night, something inside the person you love became clearer. They began to understand that there is a difference between someone who simply enters your life and someone who leaves a permanent impression on your heart. They began to understand that not every conversation creates a connection, not every smile creates warmth, not every person creates a feeling of belonging. Some people are easy to meet, but some people are impossible to forget, and you are someone they cannot easily forget. Maybe they did not expect it. Maybe they thought the evening would be ordinary. Maybe they thought they could simply enjoy the moment and move forward. But feelings do not always follow plans. The heart does not always follow logic. Sometimes a small moment can awaken a big realization, a song, a memory, a simple question, a quiet pause, a thought that suddenly brings someone special into your mind. And last night, that someone was you. They remembered the conversations you shared. They remembered the moments when they felt understood by you. They remembered how easy it feels to be themselves around you. Because with the right person, you do not have to perform. You do not have to pretend. You do not have to create a perfect version of yourself. You can simply exist. You can laugh naturally. You can speak honestly. You can share your thoughts without fear of being judged. That kind of comfort is rare, and sometimes people only recognize how rare it is when they experience something different. Maybe last night gave them a new perspective. Maybe it helped them realize that what they have with you is not something they want to lose. Because there is a special kind of peace that comes from knowing someone truly cares. There is a special kind of happiness that comes from being around someone who understands your heart. There is a special kind of connection that does not need constant proof because it can be felt, and that is what exists between two people who genuinely matter to each other. It is not always loud. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes it is hidden in small actions. Sometimes it is found in the little things. The way someone remembers details about you. The way someone checks on you. The way someone wants to know how your day went. The way someone notices when something feels different. Those small moments often reveal the biggest feelings, because true care is not only shown through words, it is shown through consistency, it is shown through effort, it is shown through the way someone chooses to be present, and maybe last night reminded them of the difference between someone who simply spends time with them and someone who makes their time meaningful. There is a difference between being around someone and feeling connected to someone. There is a difference between having a conversation and feeling like your soul is being understood. There is a difference between temporary interest and a bond that continues to grow. The person you love may have realized that difference. They may have realized that what they feel with you is something they cannot easily explain, something deeper than attraction, something stronger than curiosity, something that feels familiar, because sometimes the heart recognizes something before the mind can understand it. Sometimes you meet someone and wonder why talking to them feels so natural, why being around them feels peaceful, why their happiness starts becoming important to you, why their presence feels like something you have been missing. That is the kind of connection that stays, and perhaps that is why last night mattered, not because of the dinner, not because of the other person, but because of what happened inside their heart afterward. They started thinking, they started reflecting, they started understanding, they started seeing the value of what they already had. Sometimes people spend their lives searching for something special, only to discover that the special thing was already present. Sometimes they look for excitement and later realize they wanted peace. Sometimes they look for attention and later realize they wanted understanding. Sometimes they look for someone new and discover they were already connected. To someone meaningful, the heart has its own way of returning to what feels real, and if you are feeling uncertain, remember that uncertainty is a moment, not a final answer. A single event does not define an entire connection. A single evening does not erase countless memories. A single situation does not determine what someone truly feels. People are complex, feelings are complex, life is complex, but meaningful connections are built on something stronger than assumptions. They are built on communication. They are built on patience. They are built on trust, and perhaps this moment is inviting both of you to understand each other more deeply. Maybe it is encouraging a conversation, maybe it is encouraging honesty, maybe it is reminding you that love cannot grow through fear, it grows through understanding. The person you love may have realized something important. They do not just want someone who is available. They want someone who feels like home. They do not just want someone who can make them smile for a moment. They want someone who can bring peace into their life. They do not just want someone who listens to their words. They want someone who understands their silence. And those qualities are not easy to find. That is why you stand out. You may not realize the impact you have had. You may think you are simply being yourself. But sometimes the most beautiful things about us are the things we do without noticing. Your kindness, your patience, your way of caring, your ability to make someone feel seen, those things leave an impression. People remember how you made them feel long after the moment has passed. And you created a feeling that stayed with them, even during a different experience, even during a different conversation, even when life placed them somewhere else. Their heart remembered where it felt understood. That is something powerful, because attraction can change, situations can change, circumstances can change, but a deep emotional connection has a different foundation. It is built slowly. It is created through shared experiences. It grows through trust. It becomes stronger through honesty. And maybe last night was another step in understanding that. Maybe it was a reminder that what matters most is not who appears in someone's life for a moment. What matters is who remains in their heart. The person you love may have gone to dinner with someone else, but they came away with a greater awareness of what they truly value. They came away understanding what feels different. They came away recognizing the importance of the connection they share with you. And sometimes, that realization is more powerful than words, because when someone truly understands your importance, their actions begin to change. They begin to appreciate more. They begin to communicate better. They begin to protect what matters. They begin to choose with more awareness. And maybe this is the beginning of a deeper understanding between you both, a chance to move beyond doubts, a chance to create something stronger. A chance to let honesty guide the way. Remember that love is not measured by the absence of challenges. Love is measured by how two people handle those challenges. A strong connection does not mean nothing will ever happen. It means that when something happens, both people are willing to understand instead of assume. They are willing to listen instead of judge. They are willing to choose each other instead of allowing fear to create distance. So do not only focus on what happened last night. Look deeper. Look at the lessons. Look at the emotions. Look at what the moment revealed. Because sometimes the unexpected moments are the ones that show us the truth. Sometimes the moments that create questions are the moments that bring answers. And perhaps the answer is this: the heart knows where it feels at peace. The heart remembers who brings comfort. The heart recognizes what feels genuine. And somewhere in the middle of last night's unexpected events, the person you love was reminded of something important. They were reminded of you. They were reminded of the connection you share. They were reminded that some people are not easily replaced. Some bonds are not ordinary. Some feelings are not temporary. Some people simply become a part of your story in a way that cannot be undone, and you may be that person for them, the person they think about, the person they feel comfortable with, the person who makes their world feel a little brighter. The person whose presence feels different, the person their heart keeps returning to, because sometimes the greatest realizations do not happen when everything is easy. They happen when life gives us a moment to reflect. They happen when we are forced to look deeper into our own feelings. They happen when we finally understand the difference between what simply catches our attention and what truly touches our heart.